everyone. Welcome to Teenager Tuesday. My name is Tysha, and I am the student pastor at the Frisco East campus. I am joined by my friend, Stephanie Jordan.
Hello.
Who is also a pastor here at Hope Fellowship, and she has been on staff with students before. Currently, what is your role, Steph?
I'm the residency and leader development pastor.
Perfect. Love it. I have 3 teenagers. She has 2 teenagers. So we are going to try to share some of our wisdom with you today. So today we're going to talk about college prep and how you can help your student get ready for college. I mean, what's insane is that one day, literally, your student is starting high school and then you literally blink. We've both experienced this.
Yes.
You literally blink and all of a sudden you're sending your kid to college. It really is unfair how it works, honestly. There's nothing in life like it. It's sad and beautiful and wonderful, and you're happy and proud and devastated, like all at the same time. The emotions off the chart. Mm-hmm. I was crying one day and laughing the next, literally in minutes. Anyway, it was crazy, but I think the best way for us as parents to equip ourselves, but also our students to prepare for college, is to kind of have a plan. And I would say even before you need it, because I was working on my kids being independent way before I was even thinking about them going to college. And so I hope that over the next few weeks, you're able to hear some things that I've done, that Stephanie's done, and that we have done to help prepare our kids just for life. And that way, when you do send them off, you're confident in their ability to make choices and live on their own and live independently. Also, keeping you in the loop too, of course. But if you're like me, I am a planner, but maybe some of you listening, you don't know how to even come up with a plan, or maybe it feels so ambiguous that it's very looming and you're not sure exactly like how to make it happen. I get that. I mean, it can be a lot to think about your kid's entire future. Not that that's what we're doing, but also kind of. So we're hoping over the next few weeks that you can kind of sit down, think about what you want for your student, and begin to come up with a plan that works for you and for your family. And this would kind of be a launching pad for you to evaluate kind of the values that you have, what's important to you, and how you even teach that to your high school student or your middle school student.
And
or
to
even
help them establish their own values.
Yes.
And what's important to them, so it's theirs.
Yeah. So it's not just what my parents believe, but it's also, this is how I want to live my life, which I think is really important. And maybe, really the reality is your student's been studying you since they were young. They've been seeing you live your life, and so they probably already know kind of what's important to them. And maybe if you're like me and you're thinking, oh no, I'd never thought of that. I wish I would have put more emphasis on certain things in your own life or whatever. I mean, it's never too late to start. And so there is an old saying that says, you are what you do, not what you say you'll do. And I love that. I think your kids, more than anyone else, except for probably your spouse, will hear you say things, but more importantly, they're going to see what you do. And when they see what you're doing, they'll really know what's important to you. So we're going to dive into a few areas that I think would be really important, some values that I think could be important for you to teach your student, and really that any human, I think it would bring value to their life. And we're just going to talk about these over the next few weeks. So I'm going to launch in with the first one. The first one, obviously, since this is a parent podcast, but also spiritually based and founded, it would be spiritual life. And I think that this can encompass a lot of different things. I think that obviously finding a church and a church community is very important. I think making church a priority is showing your student like the importance of being with others who are growing in their relationship with God. We see this all throughout the Bible, that believers are meeting together, that it wasn't just for that time then and there, but I also believe it's for here and now too, and something very important for your student to know. I think that this can encourage students and people in general. It can challenge us. It grows us as Christ followers. And we know that the church is filled with imperfect people, but I think that's also why we need each other, is so that we can be there for each other. Yeah. There's a verse in Hebrews 10:25 that says, "And let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another." I think growing in our faith is a huge part of just life, especially if we are Christ followers. And that happens through church, which is community, but also through prayer getting to know God, sharing ourselves with God, and then allowing Him to speak to us through prayer. And then also by reading our Bible, we take the time to read our Bible. And this teaches us how to live a Christian life, how to share Jesus with others, how to defend our beliefs, and just biblical principles of our life that we know will honor God. And so this is just a quick basic of spiritual life. I think these things are important, but there's also a couple more that we're going to talk about during this podcast.
Yeah, so friendships is the next big thing. And it's a big thing in everybody's life, but especially when students are getting ready to go to college, there is a bit of an identity crisis. They are independent for the first time from their parents, and learning how to navigate friendships and to find the right friends. Pastor John always says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And we both have been in ministry long enough and serving teenagers that we definitely know this is true.
Yeah.
We also know that their friendships impact their spiritual life.
Yeah.
And their spiritual life it impacts their friendships and the friends that they choose.
Yeah.
So it's very closely knit together.
Yeah.
If we look through the Bible, you can see many verses that talk about our friends. One is Proverbs 12:26. The righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray.
Yeah.
It's a big, you
choosing?
choose your friends carefully or you're led astray.
Yeah.
Proverbs 13:20 says, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm.
Yeah.
We don't want our kids to be friends to choose their friends wisely because we want that for us. But as parents, we want to protect our children from harm.
Yeah.
And so in emphasizing the importance of friendships is a way that we can protect them and help them avoid the suffering harm.
Yeah.
Who we have in our life matters, and people will either point us to God and help us grow in our relationships with Him, or they will pull us away.
Yeah.
This happens through words, actions, priorities.
Yeah.
The friends that we have are so important, and it's important to choose them wisely. I would also say where you find your friends is important.
Yeah, for sure.
So again, this spiritual life, and later on, and during one of these weeks, we're going to talk about like church and finding community.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
So finding friendships within that is that's a great place to find friends, but students are going to have to be figuring that out and finding their roommates, all of those things.
Yeah.
So talking about friendships now is hugely important.
Yeah.
Teach them to be someone who pursues others rather than waiting for someone to come to them.
That's so good. That's huge.
My daughter's an introvert, and she can be very. It's easy for her to wait until somebody comes to her. Yeah. But really going out of our way, especially her senior year of high school, and teaching her to be somebody who pursues and goes after others, and to the best way to be a good friend, to have a good friendship is to be a good friend.
Yes, yeah, so good.
And so start talking about it now. Encourage your students to talk about their friends. Invite them over. Verbally process with them things you hear and see. If you are not involved in your child's life as much, or if their friendships, you don't know their friends, or you don't know much about their friendships, it's a good idea to start now so that you can see, as an adult who's been through different relationships, kind of what the dynamic is and coach them into being able to, because when they move away, they're going to have to start again. And so how to be a good friend is super important.
Love that.
And then finding good friends, which also leads us to how to treat people.
Yes.
There's so many things, especially when a student goes to college, whether they are going away and leaving your home and they're going to be living on a college campus or in an apartment, or even if they're staying at home and they're going to college, they're going to be interacting with people that have grown up differently than they have. People, there are, especially in college, our eyes are opened to a world that's so much bigger, where we live, different majors, jobs that people have. Students have never worked, and some students have worked since since it was legal for them to work. Music that people listen to, sports, their style, how they dress, what they're interested in, their family dynamic. All of these things are presented. They will run into people who are very different from them more than any other season in their life. And so learning how to treat people and to really kind of not open themselves up, but to be wise and recognize that the world is bigger than your own small world of beliefs in high school and your church, and to treat people as Jesus did.
Yeah, so good.
How we treat people should never be negotiable. We should always treat people kindly with love, respect, and understanding. This shows people that they matter no matter the differences between us.
Yeah.
Ephesians 4:32 says, be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you. Let me tell you, if you can embody that, if you can teach your student to embody that, they're going to not have any trouble finding good, healthy friendships, making friends. It will be so important for them to learn and know how to exercise that for the rest of their life. And there are going to be people that they don't like.
Yep. There will be.
Just as there are people for us that are they're
harder to love.
Relationships.
Yes. They're more difficult.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But following the example of Jesus, being tenderhearted is never a mistake.
No. And he was always reaching out to people who were different than him, which I think is a beautiful reminder for us as Christ followers, not to just like edge ourselves in and to be so narrow-minded that just because someone believes different than me, now the influence is very different, but they should never be treated differently because they are different than you.
Right.
Yeah.
And approach, all of that, you can approach those things with learning. There's so much to learn out there. And if we can teach our students to ask questions rather than to cast judgment and to be curious, but knowing who they are and finding those friendships, it helps us to be able to love others well.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, well, that's all we have for today, guys, but it's not all we have. So come back over the next few weeks, and we're going to continue to talk about this and have an open conversation about this. We really do hope that this helps you go about your week, and over the next week, you're evaluating your own life, and you start thinking about things that will help you get your student or students ready for college. Listen, it's never too late to start, and it's never too early to start. I don't know how that makes you feel, but I have a lot of comfort with that it's never too late to start and it's never too early to start. Make sure you tune in next week for more suggestions, a few more helpful thoughts. Remember, you can do this. You're not alone. God is with you, and so are we. Bye. We'll see y'all next week.